Well, hello, everyone. I think we've got enough here to start the meeting. I see a T. Miller in the meeting. Is that someone on the board, or is that somebody just attending the meeting?
I'm actually Tom Miller with Aerial Services out of Cedar Falls, Iowa. I'm just attending the meeting first time, just kind of getting a feel for what you guys are doing and up to.
Thank you. I appreciate you attending and welcome. All right, board. Go ahead and start the meeting. I don't have a PowerPoint as usual. Anyway, we'll just go ahead and start with just the welcome and the approval of minutes. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes, and is there any changes that need to be made, or do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the October 17th meeting?
I'll approve the meeting minutes. This is Gail.
All right. Gail has motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second?
And I can second.
All right, and Nate will second. So I have a motion, a second. Do we have any discussion on the approval of the minutes from the October 17th, 2023 Magip board meeting? Hearing no discussion, we'll go ahead and take a roll call vote, or not roll call, we'll take a vote. All those in favor, please state aye.
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 And all opposed to approving the minutes, same sign. Hearing none opposed, the minutes are approved unanimously. We'll move on to the treasurer's report.
Yeah. So October was a pretty quiet month. I saw that we had 2 new memberships come through, each $50. And last month we paid our ArcGIS online license for the year, which was $550. And then November, there's a little bit more activity going on, or I guess first their balances. In checking, we have $2,306, savings $19,595, and then in our CD we have $25,242. So since we deposited $25,000 in our CD back in August, we've made $242. So that's nice to see.
Fantastic. I looked at the statements that you sent out in the board packet. Are we doing all right? Pretty much where we're at normally this time of year, or has with the membership change that we did last year, is that kind of reduced the amount of income that we're having this time of the year?
You know, I haven't really compared where we were at this time last year. I do have in our general operating budget, I'm starting to enter the actual amounts we're paying, so we can kind of see how much we have left in each category. And right now we're looking good. So, and maybe I should provide a link to that in the board packet folder, so that's easily accessible to everyone.
That'd be great. That would be great.
And then in November, so our SurveyMonkey is set to auto renew on November 23rd, and that's $375. And that auto renews November 23rd. And so I wanted to check in with everyone, because we decided to cancel this. And once we do cancel this auto renewal, we'll have 1 month to download all the surveys we have in there. So yeah, I guess I just want to hear from everyone to see if we're ready to go forward with that.
Mike Idem had sent out a report and had been working on that. Mike, do you have any comments on SurveyMonkey? I know we're skipping ahead a little bit in the agenda there, but Mike, do you have any thoughts or comments on the ability to let our subscription expire here in a couple of days?
Yeah. I spent some time exporting surveys from 2022 and 2023. And I need to look up this email that I sent you. I think it was a couple weeks ago, right?
Yep. And I provided that in what you sent me in the board packet too, so, for this month.
Yeah, it looked like I just wanted to, I guess, check the format or have you guys take a look at the format of the survey records when they come out of SurveyMonkey. And then I had put together a list of the last 7 years, I believe, of relevant surveys. And we could, I guess, go through and decide if there's some from previous to 2022 that we would want to keep. And I've compiled 9 surveys so far, and I'll add those to our Google Docs when I complete that.
So is this what an export looks like? So this is, you gave an example of the salary survey, is that correct? And this is kind of the way that when you export it out, what it looks like in Excel?
Yeah, and I think if you scroll down further, it has the actual questions, or the questions are above the answers. So Q9, Q10. So if we wanted to recreate a question in survey 1, 2, 3, we could copy and paste the questions and then work from there.
So this is the list of all the surveys that you can, that you.
Yeah, I didn't compile all of them. I only went back to 2016. And those have a link to the SurveyMonkey website.
Okay. And so we kind of decided to only export 7 years worth, and then we were going to decide or kind of go through this list and decide which surveys are worth keeping. Is that right?
Yes.
And so right now this is all of the surveys. And then Mike, you need help deciding which ones to download?
Yeah, I'll share my screen really quick and show you which ones I've already downloaded. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So I've downloaded these, is that 7, 8? And my plan is to go through that list and download other relevant ones. I'm not sure if we want to go through that Excel spreadsheet for a couple minutes and maybe just highlight the ones we do want to download, and then I can do that.
That sounds fair to me. Is everybody okay with us going forward and taking a look at the list?
I think that's a great idea.
All right, I'm gonna start sharing my screen again. So, everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so we can just hit the highlight button if I can figure out where that is here in Sheets. There's fill color. All right, got it figured out. So we have the Magip local government SIG user, survey 2023. I think that's one we want to keep. Isn't it?
Yes.
Yep, I've
Yes.
already downloaded that, so maybe highlight it green.
Okay. Got it. All right. 2023 Big Sky Geocon Common Ground Building Connections with GIS.
I've downloaded that one as well.
Okay. 2023 Magip Board of Directors nominations.
I downloaded that too.
Okay. Magip board decisions.
I didn't download that.
Can we look at those? If you click the link, is it available for us to see what it is?
Somewhere in here, I think I have the password. I thought not. I probably closed it.
All right, maybe that's just taking too much time. We could probably just highlight it and then come back to it. It looks like if it's a board decision, it feels like it might be worth keeping.
Okay, so we'll change that to like a blue for worth keeping. Does that sound fine?
Well, that's gonna cover it up.
Oh, yep, it is.
Yeah. Not good.
So let's try. I don't know, gray. Does that work? Or worth
Yeah.
keeping? Okay.
Hey, guys, do we really have time to go through, what, 700 surveys and do
There are
this?
just 80 of them.
80?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if we do have time to go through 80 surveys.
Yeah. And I wonder, what, maybe we could just identify the topics that we're interested in preserving. And, again, furthermore, all of our decisions aren't they captured in the minutes,
Yes, so
things of that
Like-
nature? So
yeah,
I don't see the value in this really.
Yeah, my goal was to try and capture as many surveys with, I guess, a large amount of questions, like the salary survey, maybe some of the other historic surveys that maybe aren't duplicated but have useful questions.
there's a lot of like web map contests, conference details and conference proposals and ideas. I don't know that
Just make like a limit, like if the responses are above 50, just download it.
Yeah, and like a lot of the web map contest questions are specific to that year, obviously. And I feel like we would just be creating a new survey specific to that year in survey 123. And then the board decisions were specific to that board meeting. And like Rob said, they're captured in the minutes.
I wonder if we could just make the doc available through Google Docs, and then if anybody wants to go in and make comments next to it, they can. Or if we want to add a field for everybody to just go in and say delete yes or no.
well, we've got 2 days. So
Oh, no, we have a month after I canceled the auto renewal. So,
Okay.
so once I do that, yeah, we can kind of go through this and
Okay.
decide which ones we need to keep.
I think that's a fine idea, Gail. This is in the board packet for this month. So if you go to Drive board packet, you have the local government SIG survey, and you have the Survey Monkey survey. Those are so the Survey Monkey survey, that's the one where you can highlight the different surveys to keep or not. So we can just put in a comment over here. Yeah, just put comments over here and you can fill those comments there to whether you want to keep it or throw way. Does that sound fair, people?
Yeah, I think that's good.
All right, are we okay to move on?
Awesome.
Um,
Yeah, so I guess I'll just go ahead and cancel that auto renewal, and then we'll have a month to decide which ones to keep and which ones to throw away. So, and then also in November, we pay our wild apricot payment. And so just to remind everyone, wild apricot is our member management system where we kind of build our website and kind of track our membership. So that is $2,592 per year. And I just looked at their payment plans, and if we did a two-year subscription, we would save $72 per year. So that might be something to think about next year.
in the budgeting process, that's a good idea.
Yep. And then, yeah, last week was GIS day, and we had 5 requests for assistance, 2 in Bozeman, 1 in Missoula, 1 in Billings, and 1 in Helena. I haven't heard from any of the hosts about receipts, so I am wondering if I should reach out to those individuals, or if Jeff, you have heard anything.
I haven't heard anything from anybody. I have my receipts right here. I totaled it up. It's a little under $200.
Okay.
So I just need to get them off to you. Nate, it's
Okay.
been crazy busy. So
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Nate, mine the same. So can we just email those to you, or do we email them to the Magip board? Is there any documentation that we need to include when we send it back?
Yeah, so you can email me directly the receipt, and then I'll upload the receipts to our Google Drive folder to keep them as documentation. And then I think in our kind of our meetup write-up, there is stuff that the host is supposed to submit to Magip, such as the attendance list and maybe a short write-up. I can't remember.
there are 3 requirements: a sign-up sheet, a brief write-up, so probably nothing more than a paragraph, and then pictures. And then a submittal, I guess there's a 4th, a submittal of the receipts for reimbursement. So
Cool. I have a question about the sign-up sheet. I actually kept track. I didn't have people sign it. Is that going to be okay?
I think so.
Okay.
I'd have to go back to the verbiage of it, but yeah.
I mean, I could probably go to the library and get everybody's signature if I had to, but
Yeah, we'll
Great.
talk more about this when we get to the debriefing on the GIS day.
Yeah, and that's it for me.
Right. Any questions or discussion that you want to have with Nate, anybody? Nate, thank you so much for all the updates there and your questions and just pointing out the things that need to be attended to. We'll move on to Andrew Stickney with a report on the local government SIG.
The last meeting went well. We had some discussion about ways to try and automate land ownership reports from me, and then a discussion about well, my brain's probably not exactly what the discussion was about, but it was something really important. I can tell you that. But then there was also room on the agenda to have Gail talk a little bit about GIS Day and some of the cool things that happened with that. And also there's also room for Aaron Fashway to talk about the MGA grant and a survey going about imagery. And that reminds me that one thing I wanted to just remind the board and committee members present is if there's activities or events or programs, surveys, etc., that you think might have a relevance to local government, to just please feel free and reach out to me so I can add them as items on the agenda and make formal room for you so that we don't run out of time or space if it's not there. So I just want to make sure and just be a good vehicle for helping Magip reach out to its constituents and members.
Thank you, Andrew. Anybody have any questions or discussion for Andrew? All right, thank you, sir. We'll move on to the Member Development Committee. We've already stole a little thunder there. Mike, what do you have for us on the Member Development Committee?
Yeah, we kind of started to go into a little bit of detail about the Survey Monkey and Survey 123. I don't think the transition will be too difficult once we save the Survey Monkey surveys and start reproducing them in Survey 123. And I'll continue to export those surveys and put them on Google Docs. That's about it for me.
All right. Any questions or discussion for Mike or on the Member Development Committee or Survey Monkey? Hearing no more discussion there. Doesn't look like Eric is going to make it here, and I didn't get any updates from him on the conference committee meeting. I do have some comments from Michelle. Michelle wasn't able to make it today. She had an appointment come up that she could not move, and so she wasn't able to attend today, but she did provide a number of bullet points. She said the final theme for next year's conference is pioneering partnerships with GIS. So pioneering partnerships with GIS. An update on sponsor levels and increased amounts. And Alicia has updated the prospectus for final review. So I imagine the committee will have that prospectus. I did have an email from Aaron Fashway wondering if the prospectus was going to be updated, and Michelle had let me know she was working on that. I don't know if we have any discussion on that. I don't know when that's supposed to be out, if we're behind or right on time with that. Michelle also added that she added a 30-minute slot for the diamond level sponsors if they want to be added to the benefit. I did have a gentleman call me. It's Gil. I think it's who you're working with down in the Front Range on some imagery projects. Greg, I think is his name. Anyway, he was wanting to sponsor the event, but he needed a more detailed explanation of the differences between the different levels of sponsorship. He was asking for something like that, and I didn't know, or I said I would bring that up in this meeting to figure out how to handle that. There was an update. They updated the call for presentations and combined it with the posters and maps. Tim Urbanik has been confirmed as the keynote speaker, possibly for a session 2. Jeff Sprock, I've touched base with MSU Billings and Rocky Mountain College, and I can have this as part of my update for GIS Day, but we had a really good attendance from both of those organizations at GIS Day, and they want to be really involved in the conference. And I've got 2 really good contacts there that are teaching GIS classes and will strongly encourage their students to attend. They did a good job getting them to attend the GIS Day. We need to confirm who is coordinating the Distinguished Service Award and the Livability Award. I actually have that on the agenda later on. And Tessa, do you have anything to add to the technical committee and the conference meeting that happened this past month?
Yeah, I guess so. Let's see here. We have a really good list of like potential workshops and like potential instructors, and that part of it is really coming together nicely. We have another meeting of that in about 2 weeks, and I'm hoping we can have some like confirmed, schedules or people. I did get a hold of oh my gosh, why can't I think of his name? David. What's his last name?
Howell, right?
Powell. No, wait, Powell.
Howell, is it
Howell.
Howell's?
Yeah, Howell. He's absolutely in. Pandas is a maybe. Yeah, just kind of trying to get everybody coordinated and get an idea of how it's all gonna look out. So yeah, that's about all I got on that front.
All right. Any other questions, discussion on the conference, technical committees? Anybody have any discussion on the theme for the theme for the Big Sky GeoCon, and any ideas for me on how I can tell Greg the differences between the different sponsorship levels? He's looked at the website. He was just looking for a little bit more concrete kind of differentiation on what the difference is between the sponsorship levels. And
yeah, we're changing those and updating those. I'm not sure exactly where we're at on that, on what I think Michelle's pretty close to figuring out what we need for each one. Like we're having a diamond level, and we've upped the price on all of them. So that what is online is not going to be what. I mean, I could give him a general idea of what it was last year. Yeah, Michelle would need to have to send you, or I don't know if I have a copy of it or not, but
Yeah, so Michelle
That's what
sent
she-
out
isn't that
a
what she sent
draft
us?
prospectus. Yep, she sent it out this afternoon, lining out
Okay.
all of the sponsorship packages, and it lists the prices and what is included for each level.
oh, okay, so that's in there. Okay, I didn't know if that was in there or not. I didn't get a chance to read that email, so thank you, Nate. So there you go, Jeff. I would read that.
okay, I will look at the prospectus, and then I will get a hold of I'll get a hold of Greg and let him know and pass that information on to him. Any other discussion regarding the conference, the Big Sky GeoCon, and the associated technical committee sessions? All right. Hearing no more discussion there, we'll move on to Megan and Mike talking about the web subcommittee and how the website update is going for the Magip website.
Thanks, Jeff. We continue to hold regular meetings. We're getting close on redeveloping a plan for the homepage, and then we'll start looking at the individual menu pages, like the About and the resources tabs. But yeah, we're making progress. It's going good. Mike, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, Megan, as always, it was perfectly said. No, Megan's right. I think we are making really good progress. It's kind of a little slow, but there's a lot of stuff on the homepage, and I think once the homepage is tackled, which, like Megan said, we were really close, I think the rest of it's just going to fall right into place. So we have meetings every 2 weeks, so it's going pretty good.
That's fantastic. I really appreciate both of you working hard on updating and modernizing the website, and all the other people on your committee that are doing that. So thank you. Any questions or discussion for Mike or Megan? All right, we'll move on to MGA or whatever it used to be called, MLIAC, right? Eric, you tell us what's going on there, and you've got this that you provided me, so I will
check the chat. Yep, there you go. You check the chat. I just dropped in their updated page. I received my nomination, my confirmation from the governor's office on the 16th. So I don't know weigh in all the others, but if you click on the members list, you could see the members. For some reason, Valentine is listed twice. I'm not certain why, but you can see there's the current list of members. They have, looks like a couple vacant spots at tribal and private. And that's what I know right now for that information. Last time I heard, when Aaron and company were visiting with us, they said once we got all these appointments made, they would hurry up and get a meeting schedule established. We had to table last week's meeting because none of us had been appointed yet, so.
Yep.
And I know she's pretty busy. She's rolling out the grant information. So we should have, everyone on the listserv and others should have received emails about their the classes that they're offering. Those are offering actually next week, I think. They're opening up some grant proposal workshops. So that type of thing. So.
Is that something that we want to get out through Alicia?
I suppose. I mean, I think I can't remember where she sent that out, if she sent that out to the listserv as well or not. So
I hadn't seen anything on it, but
somehow I knew. Somehow, I don't know if it was. Let me go check the emails.
I've seen it in the listserv email.
Yeah, that's where I thought it was too.
Okay. All right.
Is Erin on the board? I didn't see her on the list.
No. She wouldn't serve as a member of the board. She serves as her role is staff.
Okay.
Is how I would understand it.
So I want to say 3 or so weeks passed. I sent out a letter to what is it?
Yeah, your letter asking them to hurry up and get an appointment done. And
and I'm trying to remember the position, if it's like it's not vice governor. I'm trying to think anyway, that just blanking on her name and her position title, but anyway, she replied that she wanted someone from private sector. Do we still need to worry about that? I see that's a vacant position here. Erin responded back when I sent the email out, her response to everybody, that Erin has provided numerous people that could fill in that position, and I don't know of anybody from the private sector to recommend. I didn't know if anybody here had Eric, how do we want to handle this?
If Erin had a list of folks in private business who are active in GIS, I mean, I couldn't tell off the top of my head, any names right now that I could think of. And on the tribal side, I don't know, I think that's, it kind of falls. I would think that they would be, Aaron and company should be searching. And then of course we saw everything on Magip has been posted. So I don't know what more we'd be wanting to push for. Well, we know they have someone, they're just waiting to get the letter accepted. Maybe, I don't know.
Well, I can respond to her email and just let her know that we don't have any suggestions on it, that we know that the state library has provided suggestions there, and that we have confidence that they would put forth people that will be active on the council. So
yeah, I mean, the only other thing I would say is we could look at our membership to see what members are companies, are individuals. Ken Wall's name is the only one that pops up to me right now as someone that I know is in the GIS world, but I can't think of any of the other private companies out there. I mean, other than your standard engineering firms that have GIS folks in them, or anything like that, some of those offices. So
Yeah, I was thinking of the members that we have that work at Onyx. One of the original requirements for that position was that they have something to do with land records, but then Aaron came back and said, no, that's not the case. It just has to be somebody that's in the private sector.
Yeah,
And I feel like we have a number of those on our list.
yeah, between Onyx and, all those. Yeah.
And to your point, the engineers, I think that's a great idea. Do we have any consultants like HDR? We have some members that work for HDR.
Yep.
Yeah, Jacobs, is it Jacobs,
Mhm.
Jeff, that you guys are working with? Yeah, I think there's a number that we could probably throw out there.
I guess the one that had came to my mind was Helen and her group, but she's in the private sector, isn't she?
Well,
Well, I can work with Michelle and go through a list of private, and I'll just reach back out to the lieutenant governor. That's what it is, lieutenant governor. And see if she has not found a person yet. And if she hasn't, I'll work through our members and see if we can provide some people from our membership as recommendations to her. So
I think we even have some tribal members that you might be able to recommend.
yeah.
Yeah.
Writing some notes here just a second.
Hey, Eric, is there
Yes.
a way that you can get us a like an update on where the funds that are collected through the state for GIS, like for the printing, collected from printing documents and it's meant to be used for GIS? Is there a way that we can find out where those monies are spent? It's not the part of the grants that are awarded.
I think there used to be something up there. Underneath that Montana MGIA grant information, there is a eligible grants, state, local. And they
They have a
used to
pretty nice
have
dashboard or something, right?
Yeah, there used to be a nice dashboard and a some other information regarding that.
Oh, does it view awarded grant projects? There's a
Yeah,
link
you could
under
hit, if you view awarded grant projects links, that I actually use that to track down one from 2020 that I'm gonna copy for a grant that we're gonna write. So that one does show you those. Not every one of those, because I went through all those fiscal years a while back, and not every one of them has. Oh, it looks like some they've been updating, so it looks like some of them have links to look at the projects. So I know that's available, and like I think Rob was saying, there is a dashboard, or was a dashboard out there that showed the funding. I don't know how up to date it is. I could actually hold on. Give me a moment. I may have that bookmarked. Okay. Yeah, it only goes through fiscal year 21, but this might be something of interest. Let me get back to the Zoom. Oh, there it is. So for example, Gallatin County, your MLIA collections in fiscal year 21, the county collections were 61,185. So the 5-year total for Gallatin County to date, or through fiscal year 21, was a roughly 202,000, 202,804.
So that's the amount that's collected. Is there any way to see where it's spent? Maybe that's view awarded grant projects link just needs to be updated.
Yeah, and that also comes underneath the state library's budget. discussion because that
Okay.
there's they show in their budget, and we could go through. I'd probably have to go through and find. See, that might be this MLIA, because they do that because there's a portion of it that goes into supporting those, and then there's a chunk that gets reserved for granting back out, is how it works.
Cool. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and because I remember we get that as part of the budget play when it's going on. Let's just see here what this report was. So there's this. We'll see. Actually, this is probably going to give you a lot of information. This was their report to the 2023 legislative session, and it's a tab story map. So you'll see where the budget is. There's a budget line, grants, access, and then a lot of things that they're paying for. Helping support LiDAR, geo-enabled, COVID, yeah, all that kind of stuff right there. So.
That's awesome. Thank you.
All right. One of the things that I wanted to discuss here at this point was revisions to our bylaws. I was going to look it up, but I didn't have time to. Our bylaws specifically refer to MLIAC, and so I would think that we would want to change our bylaws so that they refer to MGIA. Would you all be comfortable with me moving forward on changing or taking the steps to change our bylaws to reflect that, or do you feel like that's not necessary?
Oh, no, I think it's definitely necessary to update them.
Probably necessary that we go through there. I'm just wondering if you could just do an addendum to the bylaws and just say all things referencing MLIAC are now to be referenced as MGIA type of thing. So I don't know if that I don't know. I've run afoul with the contracts people as of late, so I've suddenly learned quite a bit about contract law and stuff like that. And so nothing I need to get into great detail about, but basically my contracts, I just had to do an addendum saying here, here's this. And I don't know if that's the same that can be handled with with our bylaws or not, or if you just go through and if we have to vote on that, or if we can just go through and just say all references to MLIAC should now be referred to as, yeah. Now that might be, you might need that. We might have to go back to that section 4, because it does say there, in the spirit of a representative shall be appointed by the board, appointed to the board by MLIAC. And so when you read that, that means until MGIA meets, the way that reads, that means that the Land Information Advisory Council will appoint someone to be on this board, on the Magip board. But the way my letter reads and the way you look at the member list, they actually have me. And this is something that I have to get cleared up with Aaron and Jenny, because I think the MGA, the Information Act, let me open that up, where it's members.
When we rewrote it last year, Eric, that was the intent is that MLIAC would vote for a representative to be with us on the board.
Yeah. And then the Montana code, the way it's represented here is one person who is a member of a Montana Association of GIS Professionals. And so I guess at my appointment to the MGIA is as that Montana Association of GIS Professional member, but one could go back and say, hey, we want someone else on the board of Magip, and they could turn around and reappoint someone from the MGI. The council could potentially say, no, we want Lee on the board rather than Eric. And so I guess that's a distinct possibility. So I guess in that light, you'd probably want to coordinate that with Aaron and Jenny, maybe, if that's the way they want to do it. So, I mean, I could still be the member because I'm a member of Magip, but whether they want, someone else from the council to be on the Magip board is entirely up to them, I guess. So.
So essentially more to come. You'll have to discuss that with the council and see how they want to handle it, Eric. Is that
I guess, yeah, just you're looking at that line item in your bylaws.
Yeah. So, and then I don't think we can make an addendum. I think any changes to the bylaws have to be approved by all members. So maybe just something that we do later in the year when we do our voting to make sure that we kind of fix this errata stuff. So does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, I'll work on that, getting the bylaws changed. All right. I don't think we've got I've given you all the administrative updates for Michelle. I can go back through those bullet points if you want. Again, she had an appointment and couldn't change it, but she did provide a bunch of bullet points. Anyway, did she send that out to the board or just to me? I think maybe just she sent it to me. But any questions or discussions for the administration of Magip? All right, hearing no further discussion there, we'll move on to old business. We'll talk on the debrief on GIS Day. I'll go ahead and hand this off to Gail and Hillary. I can chime in on what happened in the city of Billings, but Gail, Hillary, can you talk a little bit about how GIS Day went?
I can. Hillary, do you want to talk first?
Yeah, I can talk about the Helena event. We had 10 people show up to map, and we had it at Mosaic Architecture. So we all kind of sat in this little conference room. It was mostly GIS professionals, but we did have one Boy Scout. So his mom had a lot of questions for all of us. So that was kind of fun. We had a couple glitches with the app. We found out that when you're editing a feature, there was no undo. So if you accidentally clicked somewhere, you were like, okay, well, I can either delete the entire line or we can just remember that we have to fix this later. So, and then sometimes we had trouble changing the status of the grid, and sometimes it worked. So I don't know what happened with that, but other than that, pretty successful. I think everybody found power lines. We had pizza, and then we gave away the licenses. So it was a good event.
Yeah, that's awesome. Can I share my screen?
Absolutely. Let me unshare. How do I do that? Stop share. There it is. There you go.
Do it quick. All right. So this is the dashboard from the Experience Builder that Hillary made, which was awesome. Thank you very much, Hillary. And a shout out to the top 5 editors, Jeff. It's funny, Christine Kangas, that's Chris Kangas. I thought it was funny that he put his name as Christine. Tessa, woot woot. Donald Swanson and Nate, go Nate. Super. So congratulations. So they did the most mapping, and then you can see that Helena won by a landslide. It was awesome. And then I believe that's Billings, right?
Yep.
And then Bozeman. It's interesting, that other must be the other Bozeman event. Either that or they actually the event that was being held at the Museum of the Rockies. I don't know if they did much mapping while they were there, but the event that we had at the library, we actually only had 4 or 5 mappers, and then we had invited all of the library staff to come and join us. So the library staff came in and we taught them about GIS and talked to them about mapping the power lines. And Tessa and I just have to say that mapping power lines is quite addictive. When we got done, we came back to the office and spent like 4 more hours, and then it was time to go home, and we're like, no, I'm not done yet. And Jenny, who also was mapping with us, was like having a great time. And Hillary, thank you. Hillary adjusted the actual map to include the date when people were mapping, because Jenny was like, I want to be able to sit on the couch and map this. And actually it was interesting because I was surprised how fascinating mapping power lines is. I mean, it didn't seem like it would be that big of a deal, but it was like, wow, this is really cool and really important. So anyway, this is the homepage. I think we had 5 events that were listed on the homepage. Yep, and then people could map at home as well. So I think it actually went really well. And we did notice the same things that Hillary noticed. I was actually mapping at the library without a mouse, and it was impossible to select my area of the grid that I needed. It just didn't work very well. And I never did figure out how to, let's see if we can go back to the map. Sorry, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to the results. Shoot, stuck here. Okay. If I go to the results, I never figured out how to close the grid. But anyway, that's it for GIS Day. It ended up being a great event across the state, and we're going to download that data and make it available for the event that we're going to have in January, so that people can map and do some really cool printed maps for Magip. So we're super excited to be bringing that up in the next couple months. That's all I've got.
Hey, Gail, thank you. That's a real nice summary. And Hillary, really great job putting it together. I attended the Missoula session, and it was cool because it was also kind of the reinvigoration of the Geography Club. And so yeah, it hit a number of targets, and it was well received.
Yep. For Billings, we had 20 people attend. 4 were from MSUB, 9 from Rocky College. We had 4 from the city of Billings, 2 from Yellowstone County GIS, and 1 homeschooler. My son came. Anyway, it was a fantastic day. We mapped from noon all the way through 5 o'clock. And it was great to meet Dr. Ward and Dr. Akanga from Rocky and from MSUB. They were both involved, and Dr. Akanga wants to host GIS Day next year. He got it so excited about it. He would like to have it at MSUB or have an event at MSUB next year. Yeah, we had similar issues with not being able to undo edits, but the instructions that Hillary had on there were simple to follow. The librarians put a link on everybody's desktop to open up the maps. All they had to do was double click on the link, and it opened it right up. And the professors did a great job with their students in teaching them how to use ArcGIS Online. So it was a great day, and it was great for me to see my son doing some mapping. He's 10 years old, and he like you, Gail, he got addicted and couldn't stop. My wife kept asking me if he was ready to be picked up, and said, nope, he's still good. So anyway, it was a good day.
We saw his name. Tessa downloaded the data, and we were looking at all the people whose names were on there, and we're like, I am pretty sure that's Jeff's son. That's so cool that he was able to participate. Yeah, it was fun. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. Ken from my office, from my team, came, and we're good friends with Ken anyway. And so I was having kind of trouble explaining things. Ken, who digitizes stuff every day, just sat down with my son for 15 minutes. It was just awesome to see him really get into it. It made me, so that one of my prouder days as a parent. So it was good.
The other category, I think we had some remote mappers, and I think one of the people was from Fairfield, Montana, on the eastern border, but I wasn't sure, so I just kept it as other.
It was interesting. We had somebody from Eastern Washington actually show up at the event.
Well,
her boyfriend lives here in Billings, and she attends remotely. She's a GIS major. She's like a sophomore. Junior at anyway, she just heard about it somehow through social media and just showed up, and she was there most of the day mapping stuff. So Gail, you're gonna get all the Hillary, you're gonna get all the data together, and we'll work through the contest that's coming in January.
Yes.
Yeah. And this event was very positive for both Rocky and MSUB. They really want to be involved in the conference. I think that Dr. Akanga will be overseas, or maybe it's Dr. Ward. One of them won't be able to attend, but they're really strongly encouraging their students to attend. And Rob, I let them all know that there's scholarships available, and a lot of them looked at the scholarship page. That's where we got the feedback on updating the scholarship page. So hopefully we'll get some more people applying for that.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. I know they attended the conference in Billings the last time, but haven't really seen much participation since. So good to see him.
Yeah, Dr. Ward is he's been there for, I want to say, a decade about at Rocky, and is fairly well established and has a really good environmental science program that environmental science club that involves GIS. Dr. Akanga just I think is coming from Michigan or Michigan State or something like that, and just getting the MSUB program up and going again. So I've connected them to Eric, and hopefully we'll get good involvement with the conference. So.
Cool.
I just have one more comment about GIS Day, and that is that I think that having the experience builder that Hillary put together and all of us mapping from the same map, I expected there to be some kind of lag or delay with so many people editing at the same time, but it seemed like it went really, really well. And I feel like, given what we paid for our ArcGIS Online account to get SurveyMonkey up and running, to be able to have this added component of Experience Builder and ArcGIS Online, I just think it's definitely paid for itself.
I'd agree with that, and I'd say we're at the tip of the iceberg with this. So. Okay, the next thing on old business is review and approve the 2023 achievements and 2024 work plan. Has anybody had a chance to review that? I have not had time to review that. Do we want to try to approve that today, or do we want to table that on into December? How do we want to handle that?
Could we please table it and put it out to December?
I'm more than okay with that. Anybody else have an issue with that? All right, we'll consider it tabled and move on to new business. Let me pull up Edge here. The next item on the agenda is new business. It's discuss providing comments and amendments to the Montana Administrative Rule for the Montana Geospatial Information Act and the Montana Real-Time Network. Has anybody had a chance to take a look at the information that Aaron has provided on the comments, and do we want the board to comment on this? Are you all aware of this, or is this something that I maybe slipped through the cracks and didn't get out to all of you? Just for your information, there are several changes being listed and they're wanting public comment and Aaron would like support from Magip on this. The proposed changes include changes to the definitions, adding on the charge fees for the new statewide real-time network. There's rules in there that, like, if you provide a component to the real-time network, you'll get credits and you'll be able to get users on the network and maybe not have to pay for it. There's also something with educational. If you're an educational organization, I couldn't find or document what they were talking about. They just defined an educational organization, but my assumption is there's either going to be some sort of reduced fee or no fee for educational institutions for the real-time network. And then there were amendments proposed to update languages of the I think it's like the MGIA to reflect those changes from the legislative session that just happened in the last year. So somewhere I had more pulled up. Yeah, here are the changes that were listed out. Questions, comments, current concerns, discussion. Is this something we want to support, or do we not have enough information?
Didn't we support this already when it went through the whole thing in Congress? So the whole fact of us just, I mean, we can certainly throw a letter out to them or something supporting this again, but I feel like this is something we've already supported.
We did support this. This is, if I'm understanding this correctly, and I'm not sure I have a great understanding of this, Mike, I think this is essentially putting what the legislature enacted into actual documentation for the state library. So they're enacting that, and they have comments open through December 3rd or something like that. I want to say was December 1st. So the end of next week. And so you can go to this website here and click on the comments section, or maybe Aaron has it in the email here, but you can go to a website here and provide your comments on each of the rule changes. So yes, we've supported the real-time network. Yes, we supported the change of the red tape initiative that the governor put out there to change around the MLAC to MGIA. So yes, we've supported all that, but now that these are going to be the actual library commission, go back here. The library commission hearing to consider proposed adoption of these changes. Not hearing any discussion here. Is this something we're not comfortable moving forward with? I don't know. To be honest with you, I read through all of this and I kind of struggle to understand what's even going on here. And in looking at Aaron's email, it talks about the rule changes, but I can't really track what's going on. And I was hoping that maybe she'd be here today, but she's not. So Megan, do you know what this is about, since this is a state library thing, or you have any thoughts or comments there?
Yeah, I can't really speak to this. Sorry.
No. So,
well, I think if you scroll through there, basically it's just they've scratched out what you're seeing is the items that were deleted. In other words, those items that are crossed off, and then where the language was changed to implement the new MGIA, the whole red tape, the whole initiative that was done, that they were doing there. And so, I don't know, in some of those things, I mean, what I read through it, the thing that I took out of it is that the grants, the MGIA grants are going to go, they're going to do one here fiscal year 25, but the grant side of things is going to go on to it, is they're talking about going it to a multi-year, but offering them on even numbered years. So, and that the land plan right there, because I paid more attention to the geospatial side of these things than, you know, some of the other commission elements, but when you look at that, so you're going to see there that the fiscal year and then the grant application cycle is going to go, that they're going to look to allow for 2-year multi-year grants, and that they're going to be going, rather than every year, that they're going to go to even numbered years type of thing. So and so yeah, but there's I think there's still talk of doing one here for fiscal 25, but that they are going to allow you, right up there under section 1, grant criteria will allow for 2-year funding and may allow for multi-year projects. Yeah, so that's the one that caught my eye, because I've got some grants that I'm dreaming up in my head that I want to get written here. So, and I wasn't ready for FY25, but now knowing that FY26, I may look at budgeting, you know, open more budgeting, you know, type of thing in order to support a 2-year grant cycle. So that was that one, but I didn't, and honestly, if you were to page back up through there, I didn't really read through much of the other stuff dealing with the library commission and some of those other ones. Unfortunately, I probably did not do due diligence to this, but I think a lot of it is probably in as a result of MGIA being the size of the council and some other things there, you know, that went on with the 2023 legislative cycle.
So what I didn't glean that, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I didn't get to that part of the document. What I got was from this is they're going to set up a fee-based system for the real-time network, and this fee-based system is going to go to based on the cost, total annual costs, to keep that system and network up. They're going to take that cost, and then they're going to create a user fee that will pay, essentially balance it out against those costs. I guess I would hope that they would also look at depreciation and depreciating out the equipment, so that they could replace stuff as parts of the network get older and need to be replaced. But
yeah, I know that in all the presentations that Aaron's given on that, the RTN, that they bounced around that the subscription as a service type of thing. But they also, I think, if you're a contributing organization, that you would have credit to not have to worry about. And so I kind of, you know, I listened with interest, but then because I think we're going to have a base station that contributes to the whole cause at some point. So you know, we're using it, you know, along those lines. Actually, the city has its own base station now, so for our total station work and things like that. So
yeah, we have a base station too, but we're not part of the network. And there's somebody else in the city of Billings that it is part of the network.
Yeah.
Can't remember why we're not, but yeah, that contributing organization, it seems a bit vague though. It sounds like based on what you're contributing, you'll be given credit and given users, but I don't really understand.
I honestly believe they're still trying to sush out all everything that's going on with this, to be honest with you. So there's probably still lots of time to get your comments in, or to get a better understanding of what they're going to do with the RTN. So I don't know if you scroll back up, I see right up there the subscription. Okay, these to implement it. So that might have been, you know, in response to the authorization of the RTN through the legislative cycle in 23. So yeah.
So
I think maybe as an organization or as an individual, if you have comments, but like Mike said, you know, we put our support behind these during the legislative cycle. I don't know if as an organization, I guess I don't know. I'm good with however you guys want to do it, but you know, we kind of supported it already through the legislative cycle. So by default, I would say we're supporting whatever the rules that come through, maybe not by default, but
I agree with that. And I don't know, do you think there's going to be a possibility that this won't pass? I mean,
oh shoot, I couldn't even tell you, in terms of what kind of, in terms of whatever, it all boils down to what level of public comment they're getting, one way or the other. So, and honestly, without having an MLAC meeting or an MGIA meeting, unless they plan one, scroll back up. When's the due date for all the comments? Because we may not get an MGIA meeting in, December. We'll hold a public hearing. Okay, scroll down on your commentary there. Yeah, okay. Guess so, yeah, so 2 weeks from now, we'll be able to, gosh, that's a Friday. Holy cow. What time on Friday? 1 p.m.? Oh,
1
okay.
p.m. on Friday.
Gonna cut into my Blackfoot time if they do that at too late on a Friday afternoon, so.
I just don't know enough here to provide any support to it. That's just my 2 cents. I don't know if
Yeah.
anybody else feels differently. I can let Aaron know, reply to this email that we've supported it, as Mike Powell said, through the approval of the legislation that supported it, and just let them know that we trust what they're gonna build with the new changes. So
I have a question. Maybe Eric, maybe you could speak to them. So when we're looking at this document, the way that I'm understanding what everybody's been saying is that this is the original document that we all voted on and gave our approval of through Magip. Are the strike throughs changing that original document? Is that what yeah, like right here? Or were those the changes that we voted on? And that's where I'm confused.
yeah, I'm confused there too, Gail. I don't know where these changes are coming from, and this doesn't seem to me to reflect what we heard about when this was passed through the legislature. I almost wonder if this is like building on top of what's been approved by the legislature.
Yeah, and I would be interested in knowing more about charging for the network, for the RTIN network. I mean, that concerns me because there isn't any talk about what that would cost and who that would be to. I'm with you.
When it goes to cost, it's really nebulous. It says, where is it? Contributing organizations.
Yeah, it's highlighted in blue right there. Yeah.
That's
may receive credit for multiple logins.
Yeah, but somewhere in here in the rules, in the definitions, it talks about, I think it's later, here it is. Each of 11 numbered state library in consultation with the governor's office of the budget program planning will determine the amount of operating funds necessary to operate the state reference network in a forthcoming biennium. The subscription rate will be set in accordance with procedures set forth by the Office of Budget and Program Planning. And by January 1st of each odd year, the state will publicize the new rate. New subscriptions take effect on January 1st of every odd year. So yeah, I don't know that I could support this, because I mean, if they come up with a rate that's not reasonable, nobody's gonna, you would think that through the process that, as we were pushing this legislation through, they were talking about, doing something similar to the state of Utah or state of Washington, and you'd hope that they would look at those fees and look at how other states have done this and determine those fees accordingly, I guess.
I believe that's what they did, and I believe they talked about the fees when we were going to legislation about this. I would have to look at the stuff that we voted on and stuff, as for all the crossed out stuff. The crossed out stuff to me is just stuff that they're rewording is what they're doing. They don't like how this is worded, so they're rewording it. Or they're just omitting it.
Or the Montana State Library. What is a public hearing?
But I don't know if they have actual prices yet, but they have looked at it. They have looked at surrounding states, if I remember correctly. Evan Hammer would, I think that's his name. I believe he would be one to talk to about that. He was the one that was doing a lot of the talking at the legislation about this at the time. So
Yeah, to me, this looks like they've taken the legislation and they're amending the rules of the library. So I don't think that this is like a legislative document. I think this is some sort of rules document for guiding how the library operates. And I don't have enough knowledge to know if that's like something that's approved through the state legislature, but I'm guessing that it's the legislature has approved the direction it wants to go with the statutes that have been approved, and this is then just making sure that those rules match what the state statute does. Does that make sense, or you think I'm way off there?
I think that's where you're on right there. I think that's correct. The legislature passed the bill, passed the legislation, and these rules are how it's probably no different than the DNRC or whatever get rules on how to apply the new hunting and trapping laws. How they have to go through and amend their rules potentially. So it's probably very similar in nature. But again, not knowing fully how state government works, in terms of these types of things, I'm just making some really broad paintbrush strokes here on what you're seeing, and I would agree kind of with what you're saying as well. That's what you're seeing here. So I don't think the rules are giving them any additional powers. I think the rules are updating the actions that the legislature passed in terms of how to deal with something. For example, the rules for the granting and the rules for the makeup of the MGIA and stuff like that. So I guess that would be my take on it, but I'm swinging for the fences on that. So
me too. I was going to ask Nate or Mike Item, does that jive with how you see things roll through your state agencies?
I'm sorry, what was the question?
My question was the way that Eric and I have been working through that this was approved by the legislature, and then they're just changing the rules of their particular state department to meet those legislative rules. Is that what you think we're looking at here based on your experience with like Department of Roads or Department of Transportation and Nate's experience with DNR?
Yeah, I think that's right. Where these policy documents are how laws are implemented.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't have too much background in any of this. I know that MDT has put forward considerable funding for the RTN, but I don't know any more details than that.
Yeah. Well, unless I have a motion to support providing not testimony, but providing, what is it? Go back here to what is she asking for? I'm writing it. Yeah, I don't know that we want to provide any information for their hearing. I think I can just let Aaron know that we supported the legislation, but we're not comfortable, or not educated enough to provide any feedback for them on the passage of these rule changes. Does that sound fair? Do you all want me to put something together in support of this?
Oh, I don't think we're ready to support it.
Okay.
I mean, I just think that there's just there's too many questions and not enough answers. But maybe another way would be to respond to the email that Erin sent and ask her for some more information.
Okay. I'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on, unless there's any more discussion on that. Discuss the 2024 Distinguished Service and GIS Professional Livability Awards. Rob, is that in your area, or I've never been a part of the awards other than seeing the people get the awards at the Missoula Big Sky GeoCon. Can anybody provide context? Michelle is just wanting to get us moving on that process and start thinking about that and getting it out there in front of our members. Could somebody talk to what is the process for, or what has been the process in the past for getting these nominations and getting this part of the conference up and going?
Yeah. Hey, Jeff. Thanks for asking. That is not something that's been part of my committee in the past, but since you mention it, I mean, it might be something to think about, to all these types of things, to get them under a certain umbrella. But I believe, and I think maybe Megan has been part of this process in the past. I think there's a separate committee that gets together to do this.
Okay.
I thought that was underneath the conference planning committee too, but I may be wrong as well.
Yeah. Right, because it usually happens during the conference. So yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have much information on it myself.
Okay. So it sounds like Michelle and I need to get a committee up and going to get this moving.
Yeah.
Or at least coordinate with the conference planning committee as well and see if they haven't already started something.
Okay. Tessa, do you know if they have talked about this at all?
Sorry, what's up?
Tessa, have you as part of the conference planning, do you know if they've talked about the award ceremony, the awards banquet part of the conference?
Not that I can remember. Yeah. Do you want me to write that down for our next meeting just to make sure it's covered?
Yeah, and I will contact Michelle too and let her know that this has been a committee that's under the conference, and we can change it and potentially have it put somewhere else, a responsibility for someone else in the organization, but we plan on handling it through the conference this year.
Yeah.
Let's see. Megan just joined back in. Let's see if she.
And I have sent her the procedure document that's in the Magip Google Drive folder.
Okay.
Phoebe took care of it last time. Jeff helped with it, as well as the professional development committee chair. Yeah, so I was going to look for the document again and just throw the link in the chat here for you.
It's great. All right, well, I'll take a look at that document and make sure Michelle's aware of it too. We'll get the planning going on that, unless anybody else has any other comments, discussion on that matter. We'll start working that through the conference committee. And was Phoebe, when Phoebe did this, was she the head of the conference committee, Megan?
She was the liaison.
Okay. All right. That concludes all the business I have for this meeting. Does anybody have anything additional that they want to discuss or bring in front of the board, or have addressed at the next board meeting? Our next board meeting is going to be Thursday, December 19th. It is a online meeting. Though I don't have it put there like that in the agenda. Yeah, let me know if you have any topics that you want to discuss now or then. I have been pulled in many directions because I'm still kind of doing the JS coordinator position and also learning the ropes for the IT director here at the city of Billings. So if I'm not pulling my weight and doing what I need to do, please let me know if you have any concerns there, because I'm worried that I'm not keeping up with my duties. So.
Hey Jeff, you might wanna, Andrew put into the chat that the local government SIG is gonna be canceled for December.
Okay.
So you might wanna take that off for next agenda.
Okay.
Not that, the one down.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah. Any thoughts, discussions there? One of the things that I guess I'd like to add on this when it comes to the LiDAR SIG, I just don't have the time to spend on getting it up and going. So unless somebody else wants to put the time into keeping that going, I'm gonna kind of suspend things until I either have more time or can hand it over to my successor here, or somebody else that's interested in running that. So. All right. Well, with no further discussion, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Or is there any motion to adjourn this the November meeting of the Magip board?
So moved.
So moved by Eric Spangenberger. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mac Powell. All those in favor state aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. With that, the motion to adjourn passes unanimously. With that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you,
Great.
everyone.
Thank you. You guys have a nice Thanksgiving.
Yep.
Happy Thanksgiving.
You
Happy
too.
Thanksgiving, guys.
See ya.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Hey, Mike, you still there? Oh, he took off.